What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Dre, and I just want to just push on game, especially after I heard it was like commercial with always Shaq trying to let's say downplay Donovan Mitchell, and I didn't think it was much of it, but everyone got their own opinion. But as I was hearing that, and then I was like, then started curious and started checking out the Jazz. They really are putting in the work, and not just with all being in the top standard, but just on how they improved in basically every category. Like they went basically from being like a 20 in whole total teams and total points scored as a team and ninth as like to holding opponents points per game and ninth to basically top 10 and number 3 in that defense and how many points they hold their opponent to. They taken a really safe jump and go that so everyone that just basically being there, everyone's healthy now, especially with Bogdanovich, Rose O'Neal really stepping up too, and really the other undersleep piece, Mike Conley. This man really now able to start to gel with with Donovan Mitchell. Them two really starting to gel a lot better, especially when they first started. And granted, you gotta have that it's going to be like, especially when you have a ball down player like Donovan Mitchell, but he's really now able to embrace that role and really able to now effectively get the most out of playing with him, and that's really starting to show in not only just the wins and loss column, but in every statistical category that you can bring up. Now, I'm gonna make this claim, and y'all can quote on me this. I don't care. I think they really will make it to the conference finals. And here's why. Not just because of this, also with a stellar play and how much everyone's bringing, but just how I think with all the other teams is they don't have either all the right set pieces or they just didn't figure it out. The Mavs, I don't know if it is. I mean, you must a little bit of Seth Curry, or now that everyone's really zoning in Luka Doncic. Either way, they are. I got to make. I probably got Mavs basically first round because they didn't show me enough. That's just flat out. Uh, Anything besides like little pack like Marcus like Blazers, like we didn't have them make like do anything outside. That's period. Now I really want to get into the two big fish, but the Clippers until they show me, well, this would say Paul George with some consistent amount of performance and that dog and that playmaking wouldn't be an issue. And not everyone going to say I should. I'm not gonna have them more out than a second round. Now I ain't trying to sit there and just go off the fact of like off that one thing because I feel like you still need to go in chemistry, but with that it's still out there in the question. So I'm really like sort of shaky on that too. So but I'm not gonna count them out. I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and conference round. But with all of that said, I think that the Jazz would just be a better fit. You got two ball handlers that can go ahead and create this shot. You got two people that definitely create their own shot coming off the bench. The defense is stellar. And you got a two-time defensive player of the year in Gobert waiting for them, and he like to pin it off the glass. Like they was having trouble saying getting up to the paint with a guy like Jokic and then Mason Plumlee. What that's gonna do with a guy like Gobert down there with plus the like some defenders around him like Joe Ingles and then not even just that, and then like these let's say go down to the Nuggets grand because they were the team to make the conference finals to go against the Lakers. They really took a step back like from players not being like all the way healthy like a Michael Porter Jr. and then to like Gary Harris really digressing on the offensive end, which is really what you don't need, especially when you got this type of say talent. You really want to have the offense as diverse as possible, and you really need to go ahead and step back up. But also, a really key piece, they lost Jerry Grant. He was their defensive stopper on the premier wings in the league, especially in the playoffs. Whether it was Kawhi, Paul George, LeBron, they're really going to miss that. And then when you have a guy like Paul Millsap that was able to be that same role, but he ain't gonna be able to do that in that amount of extent. Basically, he can't take. Basically, he went off on like about let's say about a couple minutes, like as a like person coming off the bench to now being say starter. It's almost like the equivalent of basically like the Brooklyn Nets when they gave up Jerry Allen and DeAndre Jordan. Jerry Allen was obviously the better player at that stage. Now, granted, DeAndre Jordan definitely, I say, really was a great person you can have as a backup. But in terms of starting, he's not a starting caliber player. And I think that's also, you can say, is the case for Paul Millsap. Not to that same great extent, but just saying that he won't get that same efficiency as he was when he was off the bench as a starter now, especially granted, I think he's like 33, 34. And with all of that, you still have players missing time, and you still need to go ahead and find that groove. That's a little bit worrying. And with the Jazz, would they basically just have the chemistry off rip so everyone healthy? So basically, if everyone go ahead still healthy, I got them. I got the Jazz playing the Lakers. Like, they are the, not only to say the safest bet, but then also just like the most best team because they just off of chemistry alone. So I gotta just go with them. They're basically like only 2 games out the first seed in the West with the Lakers, and 1 game from second from the Clippers. And with that, I really gotta probably pick the Jazz. Like, they're like a team like the Heat that just got all the right pieces. They just need like that one player to really put them up. That's a star alongside their main star that they got in Donovan Mitchell. Like, they just come off as a team like that for me. Anyway, y'all, that's it, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it that. Leave me your thoughts in the comments, and I'm